Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kat and this is Catadactyl. So I know I haven't been online in a while. I got a new job and I've been learning the ropes, so I have not been reading as much because I've been using a lot of my free time to catch up on work or learn how to make myself more efficient at work. So yeah, I've actually only read 4 books at the end of July, so today is going to be a really quick, sweet little wrap up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. Yeah, let's just go. Okay, so the first book that I want to talk about for the second half of July is Bluets by Maggie Nelson. Now, this was kind of a cover buy for me. I love this cover so much. This is a collection of experimental prose by Maggie Nelson about the topic blue. So a lot of it is about the color blue and dyes such as indigo and where they're sourced and how they're found and how they're manufactured. It's also a lot about how humans perceive color and how our rods and cones manufacture different realities of color, and also how artists and scientists both have used different modes to kind of reproduce different ways of vision and seeing color, specifically blue. So this work I gave 3 stars overall. I liked the parts that had to do with the rods and cones and how we perceive color. I think as a cohesive work around the color blue, I feel like a lot of the segments didn't appeal to me as much, or I just didn't get it. For instance, a lot of the writing is in bullet list form, so I'll just show you an example. It's kind of like this, where each one could be something different, and they don't even have to be aligning. They can just go off on tangents. So I think for me overall, one of my favorite colors is blue, and the cover itself is beautiful, but I think I will be probably passing this along to a friend of mine who is interested in the realities of color and how we hallucinate. So I marked all the tabs here that talk about the scientific hallucinations and reality of color in rods and cones, the more science or philosophy-based sections. So I will be passing this on to a very good friend, so I appreciate the reading experience, it's just not for me. So yes, I will make sure that it finds a very loving home. So the next book I want to talk about is The Collector by John Fowles, who is an English writer. So in this one we're following a main character who doesn't really fit into society, and he's kind of an outcast. He likes to catch butterflies and pin them. That's his main hobby. But then suddenly he wins the lottery, and he suddenly has a lot of disposable income. So he decides that he is going to buy a house in the countryside and renovate it. And along the same time, he's been fixating on a specific woman who's at art school. Now, she doesn't know he exists. He just watches her. And when he wins the lottery, he realizes that all of his dreams can come true, including the one where he renovates his basement and keeps her in it. So, yeah. I tend to usually like kidnap or entrapment novels. There's just something about it that puts me on like the edge of my seat, and I'm really rooting usually for the captive to escape somehow. I've read a whole slew of them recently, as well as Stolen, which was set in the Australian outback, and that was cool. In this one, my problem, I was really on the edge of my seat because in the beginning, the first 1/3 of the book, it's told through the man who pins butterflies viewpoint. And it was so engrossing because you can tell he doesn't understand why he doesn't socially connect with the people he talks to, and especially his captive. He's trying to be sincere and he's trying to connect, but then when she says something back, he just can't understand why she's angry, or he can't understand why she's acting that way. He just completely lacks the ability to understand human emotion and like human responses and picking up on social cues. So that was really good. But then about 1/3 of the way through, we switch points of views to the captive, and actually, I really did not like her. I hated her. She's pretentious, she's loathsome, and I just generally hated being in her head. And not only that, we restart at the beginning of the story again. So it's like you go 1/3 of the way through the story through one point of view, then we rewind and we go through it through the second person's point of view, and then the last third is like right now to the finish line. So I had a problem with the format. I think like overall I gave the book 3 stars. If the book had just been the man's point of view the entire time, it possibly would have been a very strong 4 stars for me. I just did not get on with the second perspective very well. So if you guys have read it, let me know. It had echoes kind of The Dumb House by John Burnside. So, yeah. I'm not a huge fan of John Knoll's writing style, but the story itself was really intriguing. So if you like captive novels, like maybe check it out on that mediocre lukewarm endorsement if you'd like. And the second to last book that I read in July was The Great Alone by Kristin. Now if you guys have seen my Women in the Wilderness playlist, which I will leave linked down below, but I found a dozen books that feature strong female protagonists and survival skills being a badass in the wilderness, so I will leave that link down below. It was inspired by my absolute darling, and this was one of the books on the list. In this one we follow Lenny, who is a young preteen girl whose father, when he got back from Vietnam, suffers a lot of PTSD and he can't really handle social engagement, and he can't really hold down a job. He has really bad nightmares whenever the weather's bad, or whenever he gets in a bad mood, he starts to have really, really severe flashbacks and anger issues and so on. So he decides he's going to move his family to a remote posting in Alaska to kind of get away from society and relax, and hopefully things will be better. But, I mean, as you can probably guess, things don't go like that. And Alaska actually has very long periods of darkness and also of very inclement weather, all of the things that trigger his PTSD. So we're seeing it through Lenny's viewpoint, and so many times in the novel I was just like biting my nails on the edge of my seat, turning the pages. I just couldn't put it down. And I loved the ending, I really did. I know that some people have a problem with the ending, but it was so good. I loved it. It was really perfect for me, personally. Yeah, so if you're looking for a book that features a strong female protagonist in a wilderness setting and beautiful Alaskan imagery, this would be the book for you. I really do highly recommend it. And the last thing that I read was Aura by Carlos Fuentes, who is a Mexican writer. This is more of a short story or novelette. It's only 60 or 70 pages, I believe. And then we follow Philippe, who answers a calling in a newspaper for someone to write the memoir of a man who has died. So it's a commander, and he is supposed to take the letters and turn it into an epistolary form memoir, if that makes sense. And when he shows up at the house, it's kind of decrepit and falling apart, and he meets kind of the grand dame of the house, who is kind of a wizened old woman, and her granddaughter named Aura. Now, things get weird very quickly in this house, and as a child, my parents used to read to me Russian and Bulgarian fairy tales where things are very dark and very weird and dangerous. And this is kind of that creeping, crawling feeling in this short story. So if you really, really like twists and kind of dark, decrepit, like things are hiding in the shadows and you're not sure what's going to happen, but you know it's going to be weird and it's going to be great, then this would be for you. This is also my first book from Mexico, I believe, in the last few years. So I'm really glad I remedied that. And I also think that it was pretty great. So if you're looking for a short read from Mexico, just to kind of dip your toes into the world of Mexican literature, maybe check Aura out. It was really good, really creepy, and short, and I was gonna say sweet, but no, it's just very creepy. That finishes up the books that I read in July. What are you guys reading? Are you gonna read any of the books that I just recommended to you guys? Let me know your thoughts. And again, I'm sorry that it's been a more slower upload because, like I said, new job, learning the ropes. Yeah, so I'm really excited to have this new job, but please bear with me while I get all my ducks in a row, get all my shit in order, as it were. So yeah, I'm really excited, and I hope that you guys are having a fantastic reading month and that you're having an awesome summer. And I will chat to you guys later. Bye!